Test, test, test. Can everybody hear me? Let's get some coffee real quick. All right, let me go ahead and turn off my second display. Just make it go straight to my streaming software so that we know exactly what we're getting, instead of the graphics card having to display two different outputs at the same time. Duplicate, no, just show on two. What's going on, SoakCon? JJ Gaming Reviews. Haven't seen you here before. Good to see you. And MTJ. I just told you to show only on two. So only show on two. Let's make sure my video capture device is working properly. How's the connection? Does it look pretty good? No lag? Extend these displays. Let me reset this because it doesn't look like my streaming software is picking up the monitor. Come on now. Sorry, it looks like my streaming card is not updating what is on the laptop right now. Between Alienware X17 MSI GE76, which would be the best for gaming, but 3D modeling and animation? Well, we're going to be doing the benchmarks today to kind of figure out as far as the numbers goes. As far as the butterflies that I felt with the X17 versus this GE76, just the overall feel of it, I'm liking the feel of the X17 a little bit better, but that's putting performance and everything to the side. I'm trying to figure out why my streaming device is not updating. Let me reset my input real quick. Melon, how's it going? Will Optimus be off for benchmarks? So I'm gonna be using the discrete option within MSI for all of these tests, the discrete graphics card. So we're gonna be seeing the best possible scenario for all of these different benchmarks. But I'm trying to figure out why the computer is not showing up right now. I'm going to create a new input on Streamlabs and see if that fixes it. Sometimes that gets a little finicky. Video capture device. Add source. Mirror box capture. Okay, so now it's showing it as a second monitor. That's better. And now display. Show only on two. There we go. You guys see that mouse moving? But now you can't see my face, so I'm going to put my face above that stack. Not that you guys want to see my face. There we go. All right, we're in business. Shrink down my mug real quick. Hey Justin, I have a couple questions about the gaming PC, especially the Alienware X17. Why does i9 core get really hot, and why people not prefer i9 because of that reason? Yeah, I do think that's the main reason that people prefer the i9 over the i7. Um, Aside from the fact that it's really expensive, so the the benefits that you're going to be getting from that. So the benefits that you're going to be getting from that are not going to be big enough for it to really matter, and people also don't really want their laptops to get super hot. And the i9 has definitely been showing that it's hotter than the i7. Bought the MSI GF63 thin gaming laptop for $900. 900. Oh, is that pounds? I think that's pounds. Great, let's get started. Exactly, let's do this. So the first thing on my benchmarks, if anybody wants to chime in before we get into the gaming on what they prefer as far as the games that I normally do, I've got Minecraft, Fortnite, Cyberpunk, Apex, Shadow of a Tomb Raider, Doom, Grand Theft Auto, The Witcher, and basically everything in that spreadsheet that you guys have seen from some of my other videos. Um, those are the games that I have that we'll be dealing with today, and then we have Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and then Call of Duty um, Warzone that we'll be testing out today too. But first, let's get into the benchmarks. I'm gonna turn for this. I'm gonna turn on Cooler Boost. I'm not gonna deal with any GPU overclocking in this, just to kind of show the defaults of what we've got. I mean, I can later if we've got some time, but the one problem with my face being on here is that sometimes I can't see the buttons. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but the fans are kind of loud. I'll show you in a little bit once we get this cooking what the decibels are looking like. So let's jump into Geekbench. Do you have Overwatch? No, I don't have Overwatch on this. So in the feedback in my headphones, I think you can actually hear a little bit that fan noise. All right, so let me make sure that all of my performance settings are all the way up. Yep, that's all the way up. Then I have cooler mode enabled. So we are at the max settings right now. So let's check this out. I'm going to get my decibel reader real quick so I can show you guys what the fans are sounding like. MTJ, will you save this video? So this video, it'll go live on YouTube once it finishes processing it. I think you can rewatch it even before it processes it, but it lists it under my videos within my YouTube channel after it finishes processing. And I think with this video typically being about 3 hours, it'll probably process within about 6 hours to be viewable on under my YouTube channel. So right now we're looking at about 59 decibels on the fans. So, I mean, not crazy loud, but it's up there. Why do you look like John Krasinski? I've actually gotten that before. I think it was my it was either my sister or my mom mentioned that when we were watching The Office one time. I said, "Oh, you look like Jim." Like, what? I mean, I guess kind of. Today I got a budget gaming laptop. Mayank, which laptop did you go with? I know a lot of people have been requesting for me to do some more gaming laptops that are more affordable. One that is more affordable that I actually ordered that is going to get here probably mid next month. The HP Victus. It's one of those more budget-friendly laptops, but also has. I think I paid 1,500 for it for I think it was a 360 RTX 360 and a Ryzen 7 processor, I believe. So we'll see how well that performs. It's definitely very inexpensive compared to these other gaming laptops that I've been checking out. Them being this laptop that I'm testing out today is $3,100, so yeah, that's a lot. So single core score, we got 1389, multi-core score 8432. Let's go ahead and copy those in. So that's significantly lower on the Geekbench. Let me make sure there's nothing else running, because that's... Oh, it's still installing Fortnite right now. How long is that going to take? 4% installation. Oh, it didn't even finish downloading it. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. The Fortnite, we might have to save Fortnite for the end for anybody that has patience to wait for that to download, but I think that's gonna be affecting performance. So I'm gonna close that down. I'm also going to double check and make sure that there's no other programs, because that score is a little bit lower than I think it should be. So let's get rid of Epic Games. Let's get rid of Steam right now while we're running Geekbench. MSI True Color, so one thing about MSI True Color that I'm going to let you guys in on that I'm going to share in my full review is that it actually brings down the brightness on the screen. So people were reporting under 200 nits until you actually uninstalled the MSI True Color. So that was kind of interesting. So all these other things are okay to keep running. Let's close down most of these tabs. We'll only keep the benchmarks tab up. Now let's redo this, because that was just a little bit lower than I would assume it to be. Do I have PUBG installed? No, I don't have PUBG installed on this one. How big of a download is that one? Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming 3, says Mayank. I haven't checked into that one, but I have heard that the IdeaPads are very inexpensive, so I'm sure you got a good deal on that one. So Duhwama said this MSI GE76 rivals the Alienware X17 and Lenovo Legion 7i. A comparison between these three would be awesome. I definitely agree. The Lenovo Legion 7i, I have not ordered yet. I have a Lenovo Legion 7 ordered that I think comes. I think that comes in about a week or two, I'll have that one that I can start unboxing and reviewing that one. But I am coming up Friday, not this Friday, but next week. That video is going to be detailing all of the specific details, the specific differences between the two that I have reviewed, the Alienware X17 and the GE76. So that'll be definitely a video to watch if you still aren't sure about all of the ins and outs and the differences between the X17 and the GE76, because it's not all about the numbers on frames per second. If a computer gets just way too hot and it sustains its maximum heat temperatures for too long, it's not going to last as long as a laptop that remains just a little bit cooler but performs a little bit less. So that's something to take in to consider. I have a question about the display. I'm not sure if you remember this, but on the last video's Alienware review comment, you said you prefer 1080p 360 more than 4K 120 hertz. So one of the reasons for that is because, okay, so there we go. There's some better numbers. 1519. Let's go ahead and copy and paste that, and then I'll answer that question here real quick. So you can see there on the single core, we got just a little bit higher than the X17. And then in the multi-core, we also scored higher than the X17. But they're just slight differences, not a huge difference. So I'm going to run the CUDA while I answer that other question. So one of the main reasons that I preferred the 360 hertz is just because of the advanced Optimus option. That was a big factor. 120 hertz, I kind of go back and forth on it. It's super fast, and I can't really see much past 120 hertz as far as visually. But as far as the input is concerned, more intense gamers, you'll the way that they react to things, you'll be able to respond to things a lot quicker, and your inputs will like your firing would happen a lot just that split second faster when you can see something a split second faster. So for intensive competitive gaming, higher is better. But 4K is honestly unnecessary. 1440p for me is the sweet spot, but you definitely can't see from a normal distance, 1080p and 4K does not look any different for me. So 4K usually costs more, so that's always a factor. It's more to each individual person. But that's just kind of my take on it. So 147,298 is our CUDA score. So you can see we've got 7,000 points higher on the CUDA score, so that's pretty interesting. And then, okay, so those tests ran pretty fast. Let's go ahead and run the Cinebench R23. You know, I'm going to make sure that I download the most recent version of that. Normally I just copy it from a hard drive, but I want to make sure that I've got the latest of the latest. Maybe I do that in the Microsoft Store. I trust the Microsoft Store better. And I'll get to some more of those questions while this one's cooking. Microsoft Store. Oh, there we go. Move my face out of the way. Cinebench. Can the 3080 really push 4K 120 hertz properly? Well, I mean, on the screen, it definitely appeared that way. Sokan said, Justin, are you going to be doing any reviews for the Alienware monitor in the future? Why is this taking so long to download? It should be like instant. That's a quick one. I don't need MSI Center to be downloading right now. Okay, you own this app, install. I was actually thinking about that. The Alienware monitors are definitely super fast, high quality gaming monitors. The one thing to kind of factor in is that extra price worth it? Because there are other gaming monitors out there. If I did an Alienware monitor review, it might be best for me to do two different top gaming monitors at the same time. So yeah, I'll put that on my list of um, videos in the queue to look into. Let me make sure I didn't miss any questions here. Um, Why is that? And if you're using a main computer, which means not for gaming, but all other creative stuff, which would you prefer, not considering the price? If you're using a main computer, not for gaming, but all other creative stuff. So as far as the look of the screen, the Gigabyte Aero 15 was my favorite looking monitor. That OLED display was just gorgeous, and it was super fast too. I don't understand why the Gigabyte Aero 15 does not get the love that it deserves. I think it's because there's so much bad press about the Wi-Fi card on that computer, but I ran a 24-hour test while doing some benchmarks, some CPU and GPU benchmarks. Some people were saying that the Wi-Fi issues were only dealing with when you were pushing the CPU and the GPU pretty hard at the same time. But I mean, I was doing that and I didn't have a drop connection once. But yeah, the Gigabyte Aero 15 I loved for content creation. You can see my numbers. I've only done 3 Puget benchmark tests so far that show how well the computers work with Adobe or Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, and DaVinci Resolve. And the Alienware X17 so far is the fastest, best one for that. Overall, the X17 has been my favorite laptop that I've played around with so far. But I mean, this one I haven't tested out the benchmarks yet. So the only thing that I've really gone by is the style of it, and I'm a sucker for Alienware laptops. Let's see. Original the creator Legion 7i pre-builds are back on Lenovo's website, hoping you'll be able to review it soon. Oh, they are back. Okay. Yeah, I might jump on that. I think I have two. I might just cancel I ordered the Legion 5 Pro, and it's not getting to me until December 7th, it says. So I might just cancel that one, order a Legion 7i so that I can review that as quick as possible for you guys. But yeah, the Legion 5 Pro is just ridiculous right now. I don't know if it's just too in demand or if they're really that low on supply for all of their pieces. Are you streaming on any other platforms? OpenAI said. I have not streamed on any other platforms yet. I've been looking into Twitch. I don't really understand too much about it yet, but honestly, the amount of time that I've been putting into just YouTube has been taking up, has been giving me a lot of late nights just on editing and things like that. Um, so I might be looking into another platform here in a little bit. But I've sprinkled some of my videos on TikTok and some on Facebook, but those are all just reposts on videos that I posted on YouTube. But yeah, I'm definitely trying to focus mostly on YouTube to build up a following in one spot, and then kind of maybe disperse once I get a little bit more time and a better workflow down the line. Let's see. What graphics card would you recommend for a computer with an AMD Ryzen 5 3600? Um, so Ryzen 5 3600. What's the what's the maximum graphics card that one can work with? I'm not too sure about that. As far as the earliest gen laptops, I tend to normally like the 3070 RTX. I think it's the best value for your money. But with the X17, the Alienware X17, unlike a lot of other gaming laptops, the maximum graphics power was actually higher on the 3080. There's a lot of other graphics cards or a lot of other computers out there where they give you the exact same maximum graphics power for the 3070 and the 3080. So when that's the case, it's usually, I mean, it's definitely not worth it to go up to the 3080 unless you've just got extra money. You'll get a small improvement, but for most people, it's not worth that extra cash. Microsoft Store or Alesso M said Microsoft stores tend to be glitchy with downloads, I find. Yeah, I've noticed that too. Okay. Is there a huge difference between 120 hertz and 240 hertz? Honestly, for me, I can't see visually that big of a difference between 120 and 240. You can definitely tell the difference stepping up from 60 to 120, but 120 to 240, I can't see that big of a difference. But if you're a competitive gamer, the more, the less lag that you can have as far as your input to what you see on the screen, the better. Hatham Kenway said, which cable should be the best to connect this laptop to an external monitor? I'm just using a HDMI cable right now to my um, streamer card, and it seems to do the job pretty well. It didn't specifically say on their website that it's HDMI 2.1, but it said that it's capable of 120 hertz at 4K, um, which is usually only possible with HDMI 2.1. So, I mean, yeah, with HDMI, you'll be able to get really nice looking 4K at 120 hertz. Let's see. OpenAI said 3060 Ti best deal for price. Yeah, I haven't bought too many laptops with a 3060 Ti yet, but I've definitely noticed that they are very friendly to your wallet as far as how much those kind of laptops cost. Or 3080 at MSRP. 2020 comp or 2012 Compman said the Aero 15 OLED is awesome. Best Buy has the 3060 on sale for $12.99. Wow. $12.99. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the one that I got was about $3,000. But I think I got the 3080 model, and it was the earliest model. They keep coming out with newer models, and the one that I got was only a couple months old. The ones that a lot of the other reviewers were reviewing, that were having Wi-Fi card issues, that was on a different version of that same model, also released in 2021. The one that I got and reviewed was the latest of the latest that you could buy, and I didn't have any Wi-Fi issues with mine. Let's see. Duhama version. I like the Gigabyte Aero with the OLED display, but the 60 hertz refresh rate is kind of low to my liking. Yeah, if you do a lot of gaming, um, you'll feel the difference between 120 to 60 frames per second. But if you're solely a content creator, most content creators don't, or if you're mainly a content creator, most content creators don't create any videos above 60 frames per second. So 60 hertz is honestly enough for those kind of people, and that OLED display just looks amazing. I really wish there was more. The best screen for me would be a 1440p, 120 hertz OLED display. There's one other, 17 inches, because I like my screens big. That would be the perfect display for me. So, Con, is there any reason why you are keeping the M17R3? Well, so the M17R3 has been lasting me, it's been holding on really strong. Um, the main reason that I'm keeping it is because I can't afford to upgrade my laptop. Um, as some of you know, a few months ago, I lost my main source of income, so I'm trying to do YouTube full time, doing freelance here and there, but yeah, I'm definitely not in the position to be just buying a brand new laptop a year after I purchased my M17R3. My M17R3 is holding up. For those of you that are looking for a less expensive laptop, I think that the M17R3 is quite a bit uh, less expensive than I bought it a year ago. And those are still in stock, I believe, on Amazon. I haven't had any issues with mine. Fasa Fluffy, Legion supply shortage in India also. Yeah, there's just supply issues everywhere. It's kind of nuts. Then Alesso M, would you say a 140 watt 3070 mobile is close to desktop 3060 Ti or closer to 3060? That's a good question. Um, Depends on what the maximum graphics power of that 3070 is. Or, so you said 140. 140 watts, that's pretty strong. I'd say it's probably closer to the 3060 than the 3060 Ti. So Khan said, what do HDR and G-Sync does for your display? G-Sync, the main thing with G-Sync, and I keep getting these confused, versus V-Sync, G-Sync, and Adaptive Sync, but usually the main reason for these sync kind of protocols, I think G-Sync is AMD's solution for it, and V-Sync is NVIDIA's solution for it. But basically, what it's doing is it's either scaling back your frame rate or bringing it up to match what your monitor is. So G-Sync actually scales back your refresh rate to match how many frames per second your computer can actually produce at that given time. Um, so that we don't get any tearing. Tearing is something that a lot of gamers have a problem with. So when you have a sync between your display and your graphics card, then you're either going to be getting less frames or a little bit more jittering if you're trying to bring it up. But a lot of people prefer to have the syncs on when they're showing their or when they're playing their games because that tearing is just something that's not pleasurable. Um, I usually turn VSync off for these reviews because I want to see actually what the maximum frames per second I can get is, regardless of what display I'm looking at it on. That's actually kind of small for my eyes to see on my second monitor. I believe that says 11857. There we go. Go ahead and snip that. Actually, no, I'm going to wait until I do my single core and then just snip them both. So 11857, I can't remember what. So that appears pretty low compared to my X17. multi-core 11857. The multi-core I got on my Alienware was 13518. So that's interesting. It's the same exact Intel processor on both, so it's definitely a good comparison between the two. And I got the 3080 on the Alienware X17 as well as the MSI GE76. Um, so one really good thing that I want to share with you guys as far as the MSI GE76, it's supposed to have 155. Some of you guys might know this, but it's supposed to have 155 maximum watts, maximum graphics power. But with a new VBIOS update, you can actually push that up to 165 watts. So it now matches the same graphics power as the Alienware X17. So that's pretty interesting. Oh, and SOCON HDR. Um, I just woke my Alexa up. Alexa, stop. That was weird. HDR, typically it makes your colors just look more rich, a lot more rich. Kind of brings up the contrast. Your blacks look better. That's usually what I've noticed the most when it comes to HDR. When you're taking photography pictures, HDR images, as far as that goes, it really helps out with your outdoor scenes when you have really bright sun in the background. It doesn't just wash out your entire sky, make that white sky. You can actually see a blue sky. It's not too bright. It kind of balances the brights and the darks, so one isn't overpowering the other. Mod Sufyan Raslan GGWP. I'm not sure what that means. 140, 1440p 2K. Yes, 1440p is 2K. Ninja 1507, I ordered Alienware X17 2 days ago, also because of your channel. I'm so nervous and happy. Congrats, man. I'm glad my video helped you out. It's definitely my favorite laptop that I've ever played around with. So I think you're going to be happy. I listed all of the small little drawbacks on it. So I think that if any of those are an issue for people, it's not going to be too big of an issue. But if those different things that I listed out were things that you just can't live without, then yeah, you're probably just going to want to pass on it. But if that doesn't matter to you, you're definitely going to love that laptop. I know at first it was kind of um, it just took some getting used to not having a number pad or being used to seeing my secondary glow in my keys. So Khan said, if you mind, what's your main job? Totally fine if you don't feel comfortable. I respect your privacy. So originally, um, when I first came to Texas, I worked for an animation company where I did visual effects for some commercials and for some TV shows, and I also did a bunch of really cool animations for the Dallas Mavericks and the Dallas Cowboys, just stuff that they put up on the jumbotron screens during the games. Um, and then after I got let go from that job just because that was kind of a company that was just having trouble finding a lot of that same kind of work. So maintaining a large staff was something that was hard for them. But then I moved to a stage company where I was creating renders for corporate events, and that was actually pretty fun. It sounds kind of boring, um, but I would design stages, just kind of stages on steroids for um, big conferences and things like that. So if you went to a big event and the stage looked just extra cool, that was the kind of thing that I would design and work on. And those shows paid pretty well to our company, so they could justify having somebody full time creating designs for that. But once COVID hit, it just completely wiped out um, the need for staging companies, obviously. So we were hitting our best quarter as a company The company was around for over 30 years, and they were hitting their best quarter of profit that March before COVID hit, and then COVID hit and just wiped out all future shows. The staff was 95% of the staff was let go. I was one of them because they didn't need a render guy anymore when all of these events went away. But that's actually those contacts that I made from that company is actually what's kind of leading to some more freelance these days because people liked what I did. They liked my work. And now I'm getting uh, some of that income. But so anyways, after COVID happened, I lost that job. I took another job at this company that I was doing kind of more uh, social media ad campaigns, which isn't something that I was very good at, but I got the job through a coworker or through a friend of mine. So I got let go from there after they just couldn't afford to have somebody full time doing that anymore because the company wasn't that big, and I honestly wasn't that great at social media um, ads, like creating ad campaigns for other companies. We also just didn't get enough requests from other companies to create ads, so they just couldn't afford to have them anymore. All right, let me get some coffee real quick because my mouth's getting dry from all the talking. I don't typically talk that much in my day-to-day life, um, so I need extra hydration when I'm doing this. Okay. JJ Gaming Reviews HD. What GPU would you recommend buying for an AMD Ryzen 5 computer? Um, I think a 3060 would pair well with that. It's also very inexpensive. So, Con, I think Dell really has a good support, to be honest. I had the same main laptop, which is M17R3. It's 1 year old, but there was some default found. So I sent it back to Dell. They said they would exchange my device to new model, which is X17. So Con, you had an issue with your M17R3 and they upgraded you to the X17 for free? Or did they just basically give you back all the money from your M17 to put towards the X17? Because if that's the case, I mean, I've got the extended warranty with my Alienware M17R3. If there was a flaw on this computer that could justify them to basically give me the difference between what I paid on this machine, not what it costs now, because that difference is a lot bigger, that would be awesome if I could swap it for an X17 for even $1,000 more. I think that would be a really good deal. That X17 was just super fast. I mean, this MSI GE76 is fast as well, but there's just something about that X17 that just made me happy every time I looked at it. My SOCON, my X17 was ordered July 15th, but it says it's coming August 16th. Yeah, mine took 29 days from when I ordered it to get to me, so that sounds about right. You're actually kind of lucky though, because there's a lot of people that I saw within the comments that said that theirs was going to be taking about 2 months. So I felt pretty lucky to have mine come within a month. GH, what's up? How's it going, man? Good to see you again. Fritz Carlos, Daniel, Rosell, Odd Otto. Dude, what about the Asus G14 2020 model? Is it still good? I have not tested that one yet, but I have tested the Asus G15, and that one was pretty good. That was a quality machine. The speakers sounded great. Um, I think that one, I can't remember if that one had a webcam or not, but I remember that was one of um, my top laptops. GH, just got my X17 R1 spec'd out. Gets pretty hot when I play Warzone for an hour or so. I use the presets. What temperatures are you getting with Warzone at the max presets? Anthony Sanju Gaming, it's amazing stream. Thanks, man. SoCon, oh my gosh. GH, happy for you, mate. Mine's coming August 16th. Devil says OP. They literally gave me the X17 for free for exchange model. Are you kidding me? That's awesome, man. Wow. Was it so did you have the extend warranty? Man, if I could find a flaw in my M17 to exchange to the X17 for free, I would probably faint or something. That's awesome. AceBrain 2003, which 3D software did you use for work and which rendering engine? So 3ds Max is the software that I've used for about 12 years now. In college, I went to a college called Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida. Um, I was actually taught Maya, Autodesk Maya. Autodesk owns two different 3D companies now. One's called Autodesk Maya, the other one's called Autodesk 3ds Max. They used to be competing, but now they're owned by the same company, so they've kind of made less of an effort, I think, in my experience, to make their products better from year to year. But yeah, so 3ds Max with the software, the renderer V-Ray, that's what I typically used for my different renders. GH fan speed got 100 max temps. We're around 64 degrees Celsius. Devil, Xbox X or gaming laptop? Well, I've been trying for the longest time to get an Xbox X just to review it and test it out, but I have not been able to find it in stock at all. I got lucky with the PlayStation 5 because I had purchased some stuff at Nebraska Furniture Mart, and I got an email saying that there was PlayStation 5s in stock, so I jumped on it right away. So I got lucky with that to get that and review that, but I have not been able to get an Xbox X. So honestly, a gaming laptop is going to cost you more money, but a top spec gaming laptop is going to be faster than a Xbox X. Alesso M, SoCon, damn, you did well. Yeah, he did. I don't know if he's a sales guy or what his typical day job is, but I need to learn from you so that I can schmooze my way with support or talk to them in the right way to get the same thing to happen for me, because that's awesome. Or maybe support's just really that great. That's going to be a factor when I talk about support between the MSI team and the Dell Alienware team, because I have heard a lot of complaints about MSI's support, but I personally haven't really had much of an interaction with support for either. Still rendering the last few buckets. Yes, I had only a 1-year warranty. Wow. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think I paid 300 or a little over $300 for, it was like a 2-year warranty extension or something like that. Brett Melius, I've had my Alienware Area 51 looked at numerous occasions by Dell or Tech and have never gotten lucky enough to swap out my unit outright. They usually just swap out the GPU and CPU motherboard. Yeah, that's what I would typically think they would do. We just got to learn from SoCon. You should create your own YouTube channel with skills to get the most out of technical support. I'd watch it. They also upgrade a bunch. For example, I had a QHD. They upgraded to UHD. Wow. Ace Brain, nice. I'm a V-Ray and Max user as well. Been using it for the last 10 years. Awesome. Do you have a channel, Ace Brain, with some of your work? SoCon, SoCon, also they upgraded my RAM from 3240 to 32 3466. My original one was 2600. Man, I feel like I'm listening to someone's dream. Last night I had a dream that they upgraded me to a 3466. The new 3090 graphics card. They fit one in a laptop even though no other laptop had one. They gave me a cherry too. Ninja 1507, so you are a 3D artist. I studied game art and looking forward to using the Alienware X17 for Maya and ZBrush. Oh, I love ZBrush. I haven't used ZBrush in probably about 5 years, but I remember I made some pretty fun sculpts in that. If you guys watch my my video where I about uh, how much my YouTube channel with 3,000 subscribers makes. In that video, I showed a few clips of some of my 3D work. And I think in there was a quick clip of a Samuel Jackson from Pulp Fiction. I created a bust of him, his head, in ZBrush, which looked pretty good. I mean, it didn't look perfect. It doesn't look completely photoreal, but it was really fun using ZBrush to create that. Painter, and I haven't used Painter. Ordered it with 64 gigabyte XMP. Think it will blow my mind. Yeah, 64 gigabyte XMP. That's a lot. I don't think you'll ever need more than that. I'm just a high school guy from Canada. I'm working for Roblox, certified graphics designer. Wow, nice. How do you like working for Roblox? I don't think I've ever met anybody that worked for Roblox. I know there's a lot of YouTube channels with Roblox, though. I know my son just loves watching people play Roblox. Ayan Bajaj, how's it going? Dip Aria Music, how's it going, man? Thanks for the love, Devil. We want Dip Aria Music. We want a review and unboxing of the MSI Creator Z16. I don't currently have that one on order yet, but I'll look into it because I haven't had a request of that yet. How's the stock on those? Owen Delaney, have you ever heard of Electronics? It looks familiar. I want to say, do they have their own Amazon store? I feel like I have seen Electronics, the name, somewhere. All right, so let's look at our 11857. Let's go ahead and put that in our spreadsheet. Significantly lower than quite a few. So I wonder why that is. That's pretty interesting. The Geekbench was showing higher. And then 1467. Oh, wait, I was putting that in the wrong one. And then 1467. So slightly under the single core score for the Alienware X17. I know some of you are probably thinking, but what about overclocking? Well, I didn't have any overclocking on the GPU for the Alienware either. I have the performance mode set to max, and I have the fans set to cooler boost. Don't have any undervolting on it right now, but I also didn't do any undervolting for my Alienware X17. All right, so I'm going to snip that real quick so I can put that in their view. Unless I get a better number after testing this, then I'll put that number in there because I want to show what the maximum you can possibly get is. Go ahead and save that. Move my face out of the way so I can make sure there's no other programs running. So I was a little a little disappointed with the single core number, or the multi-core number. Yeah, nothing's really running right now. I might come back to that later, see if I can figure out why that number's not higher. Sorry, I'm a little raspy today. All right, let's jump into the 3D Mark, and if you guys have any requests that are on this spreadsheet, let me go ahead and actually, I think I can. I can't copy and paste that right now. Here, let me copy and paste that spreadsheet and paste it in here for you guys in the chat. Find it. Can't copy and paste that right now. Here, let me copy and paste that spreadsheet and paste it in here for you guys in the chat. Find it. There we go. I just pinned that message to the top so you guys can kind of follow along with the spreadsheet. All right, let's jump into 3D Mark. And on that spreadsheet, those are the games that I have downloaded, minus Fortnite, because for some reason that did not install.
And paste that spreadsheet and paste
I might
it
do
in
that
here
at
for
the
you
end for
guys
people that want to stick around, but it might take probably about 30 minutes.
There we go. I just pinned that message to the top,
I don't want to do that while
so you guys can kind of follow along with the spreadsheet.
So let's jump into 3D Mark, take a look at that spreadsheet, and let me know if there's any games on there that you want to start with.
All right, let's jump into 3D Mark.
Then I'll jump onto those.
And on that spreadsheet, those are the games that I have downloaded, minus Fortnite. Because
so one thing that I did do, I typically run those first benchmarks
at the end
with the studio version of.
But it might take probably about 30 minutes. There we go. I just pinned that message to the top so you guys can kind of follow along with the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'm on the studio driver of NVIDIA.
So let's jump into 3D Mark, take a look at that spreadsheet, and let me know if there's any games on there that you want to start with. All right, let's jump into the 3D Mark. Then I'll jump onto those. And on that spreadsheet, those are the games that I have downloaded, minus Fortnite.
So one thing that I did do when I do 3D Mark, run the rest of those first benchmarks with the studio version driver. So go ahead and
it might take probably about 30 minutes. There we go. I just pinned that message to the top. So you guys can kind of follow along with the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'm on the studio driver of
NVIDIA. So let's jump into 3D Mark, take a look at that spreadsheet, and let me know if there's any games on there that you want to start with. All right, let's jump into 3D Mark. Then I'll jump onto those. And on that spreadsheet, those are the games that I have downloaded, minus Fortnite.
So one thing that I did do when I do 3D Mark, run the rest of those first benchmarks with the studio version of Aria Music. Go ahead and just tech tips.
There we go. I just pinned that message to the top so you guys can kind of follow along with the spreadsheet. Studio driver. Let's jump into 3D Mark, take a look at that spreadsheet, and let me know if there's any games on there that you want to start with. All right, let's jump into 3D Mark,
basically, because
and on that spreadsheet, those are the games that I have downloaded, minus Fortnite. So one thing that I did
when I do 3D Mark, those first benchmarks. I wish I could upgrade my own laptop, but
go ahead and
just tech tips. Right now, YouTube isn't really paying that much. I know it takes a long time. Yeah, I did see that. I know I had a chance to maybe in
3D Mark,
reply to
look at
a couple of years
spreadsheet, let me know if there's any games
yeah,
there that you want to
unfortunately,
start
with
with.
me
All right,
being
let's
able
jump
to do
into
some
3D Mark,
giveaways, basically, because
and on that spreadsheet, those are the games that I have downloaded, minus Fortnite. So one thing that I did do
Brain said no channel, but I've done a lot of VFX stuff for TV shows. I wish I could download my own background.
Go ahead and
Just yeah, that is one thing. I did get kind of burnt out sometimes with VFX. But that was mainly because of how hard they worked with years on. They wanted to change, or when the clients wanted to change, they wanted it right away and didn't realize that some of those changes required us to redo the whole project. So yeah, there were some weeks that I was working 80 hours a week, and I was pretty intense. So I feel you there.
Stuff for TV shows. I wish I could.
Kundan, Kumar, that is one specific games listed for testing. Yes, if you look looking at Google Docs that I have pinned at the top, you kind of follow along with the different tests that we're going to be running today. Those are all the games that I have downloaded minus Fortnite. For some reason, that one did not finish downloading.
So yeah, there was some weeks that I was working 80
So if you have a request, I can jump on that one first, unless there's any request before that. Owen Delaney, there's a laptop company. They're a laptop company that has some really good customer support laptops. Might have to check them out, see if I can kind of follow some good machines sent to me by them. I'd love for a gaming company to finish downloading, or gaming laptop website to just sponsor my channel in the way that I talk about them. And they lend me these laptops because I don't need them to give me anything free. I've been getting a lot of emails from accessory companies just wanting me to send them, or just wanting to send me their free product so that I can do a full review on it. But honestly, these videos take such a long time, and if the product is not a high popular item, it doesn't really help the channel that much to spend a whole week on it, making a really detailed video. These laptops because I don't need them to give me anything free. I've been getting a lot of emails from accessory companies just wanting me to send them, or just wanting to send me their free product so that I can do a full review on it. But honestly, these videos take such a long time. These type of errors, the product is not a high popular. Usually, just copy and pasting the error doesn't really help the channel that much. It lets me spend a whole week on it, making a really detailed video. These laptops because I don't need them to give me anything free. I've been getting a lot of emails from accessory companies. Let's see what Reddit says about this. I bet Reddit is the first thing that comes up. Oh no. So that I can do a full review on it. But honestly, these videos take such a long time. These type of errors. The product is not a high. Fixed the rare copy and pasting issue when updating the new GPI selector feature. It lets me spend a whole week on it, making a really detailed video. These laptops because I don't need them to give me anything free. GPU selector. Let's see what Reddit says about this. I bet Reddit is the first thing that comes up. Oh no. So that I can do a full review on it. But honestly, these videos take such a long time. These type of errors. Product is not a high. Interesting. Rare copy and pasting when updating the new GPI selector feature. Spend a whole week on it, making a really detailed video. These laptops because I don't need them to give me anything free. GPU selector. Let's see what Reddit says about this. I bet Reddit is the first thing that comes up. Oh no. Rendering engine 3080 display generic PNP monitor display 2. So yeah, display 2 is what I'm running on. GPU selector. See what Reddit says about this. I bet Reddit is the first thing that comes up. Rendering engine 3080 looks good there. Just generic PNP monitor. Close it down and retry it. Sometimes that works. So yeah, display 2 is what I'm running on. Alright, let's look at some of these questions. SoCon, I mean, it's pretty tough to manage work and keeping up my school stuff, but lucky I couldn't work since Dell took my M17R3, so I guess I'm just chilling these days. Well, you're chilling with a pretty awesome computer, that's for sure. Alesso M, they make laptops based on Clevo designs similar to any Sager. Did not say Alexa. Alright, let's stop some of these questions. Alexa, stop. So, ALESSIO, I guess your name is too close to my smart speaker's name that she keeps getting activated. Well, you're chilling with a pretty awesome computer, that's for sure. Alesso M, they make laptops based on Clevo designs. There's double audio. Your voice is repeating. Did not say Alexa. Alright, let's stop. Triple audio. Alexa, stop. Overlapping audio. So, ALESSIO, I guess your name is too close to my smart speaker's name. What? And she keeps getting activated. Well, you're chilling with Test, test, test. Is that better? You guys hear double audio still? So somehow desktop audio popped on when I brought in the 3D Mark, it looked like. I'm going to pull up the stream on my phone and see if it's what it sounds like on there. Sorry about that, guys. That was probably super annoying sounding. Okay, so now it's okay. That's good. Alright, got that weirdness out of the way. Now let's rerun Time Spy. Cross my fingers. Please work. If it doesn't work, I'm going to try to restart my machine, and if that doesn't work, then I'm going to just move on to the gaming benchmarks and then wait till the end so I'm not holding you guys for too long while I figure out what's going on with 3D Mark. Now let's see if I missed any of these comments. I definitely got a lot of comments about that audio. Sorry about that. That was weird. Yeah, inside of my Streamlabs, this one new section on the mixer just popped up that says desktop audio. I wonder if that's audio from the other computer that just all of a sudden connected to the microphone. That's weird. Kundan said, I think this is a proper test. I mean, this is a real situation test. Most people are not going to overclock. Yeah, I agree. Definitely agree with that. Do you have Instagram? Is it private? I have a personal Instagram and a Justin Tech Tips Instagram. I haven't really put anything on there yet. I think, I might take off my full name for my personal Instagram. One of the perks I have in my membership options, as far as aside from behind the scenes, which I filmed a behind the scenes for my unboxing video just to kind of show you my studio setup, how I have like my 3 different cameras and my monitors and everything. That whole setup is within my bedroom, since I don't have any other room in the house where I can do that. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. That's kind of loud. But yeah, I did this cool video just showing you a quick rundown of how I do things within my bedroom. That's a perk that I'm going to upload for members. I think I added a perk for members as well. If you hit that join button, just to kind of help support the channel each month. The lowest one that I have on there is a $1 a month membership. I think it goes all the way up to $50 a month. But one of the perks in there on one of the levels, I'm not sure which level it was just kind of being connected on all my different social media platforms, even personal stuff on there. But I think I might just change the last name on there so it doesn't. I don't know if I want thousands of people knowing my first name or my last name. It might be all right. I don't know. Let's see. TK Clan, he's not reading chat at all. Yeah, sorry, I was just behind on my scrolling. Maybe your internet has connected to radio. It's funny. When can you change the color backlight in the MSI GE76? Not sure about that one. Ninja 1507, I don't mind the missing numpad. I put my Wacom on the keys anyways and use an external keyboard. But on the other hand, a numpad would be nice though. Yeah, I used to have a Wacom tablet. I loved that thing. my boss at my first animation company, he had one of those giant Wacom tablets that was like a full-blown screen that he could actually write directly on the screen. It was pretty cool. He was a ZBrush artist, really good actually. He ended up working for moving to wherever Blizzard's located, but yeah, he worked for Blizzard for a while, creating characters. Let's see. 1,000 Justins talking at the same time. Oh, geez. That must have been insane. I wonder how that happened. That's really weird. Linda says, Disna Frizza Lodi Ekpi. I'm not sure what language that is. If somebody can translate that for me, I can probably answer that. Could you send me the link or code so that I can follow you on Instagram? I think that's on my page description. Let me see. About. Oh no, I guess I don't have my Instagram on there. Oh yeah, I haven't updated that yet. It's still Dad Tech Reviews, but I'll send that to you. Oh, oh, yeah, I haven't posted anything on there. I thought that I did. That's Facebook that I posted stuff on. I'm gonna have a chat with my wife later today and just because I always run these things by her, ask her if she is okay with me putting a link on my YouTube channel to my personal Facebook. She'll probably be okay with it, but so Time Spy score 12,242 overall. Go ahead and snip that. So these are some real world tests. I know there's some people on Reddit that were showing numbers higher than this, but I mean, you want to see what you're actually going to get without undervolting. I have all of the main basic preset settings set right now. So any typical user, this is what you're going to actually expect to get right out of the box. Let me know if that clearing my throat sounds way too loud on the microphone. I can definitely move it when I need to clear my throat so I don't make you guys deaf. So name that 3D Mark Live. 1242 is the overall. How did that compare to my X17? So overall, the score is a little bit higher. It doesn't blow the X17 out of the water like a lot of people have tried to say online. It's slightly higher, 12,242. And graphics score is 12,722. The CPU score was 1087, so a little bit lower on the CPU right out of the box. All right, did I get any specific game requests before I jump into a game? Let's see. Close. What laptop do you recommend with a QHD display? I think does the X17 have a QHD? Actually, no, I don't really recommend the X17 though, because I don't like the soldered RAM, and I'm not a fan of the having to use a dongle for the Ethernet port. What external monitor do you suggest for gaming if you have anything in mind? I've heard a lot of good things about the Alienware external monitors for gaming because they have really high refresh rates, but there's some good ones at Best Buy that you could at least try out too. And you can always return those pretty easily. Foxy Feet, I've seen the newer Legion with 59800X and 3060 has 300-watt power brick. I think it's sold on Micro Center. Yeah, this one came with a 280 watt hour power brick. The X17 came with a 330 watt hour power brick, or 330 watt power brick, and that was massive. Ninja 1507. So you don't do any 3D tutorials anymore? Why? I can understand that it's time limited, but would be great seeing you producing art though. Yeah, I did some tutorials on a different channel. I think I just did one. I kind of tested out doing some tutorials that I did just with Photoshop because I thought that was a big enough audience. And those videos did not get that many views. And I did, um, I looked at kind of the keyword search with 3ds Max, and it showed that there's a lot of tutorials of people with 3ds Max. So I know it's kind of saturated right now, and it would be kind of difficult for me to jump into there doing 3D tutorials, but that is something that I have looked into after I've figured out my workflow on this channel to be able to make videos a lot quicker. Or if I could get an editor for very inexpensive, I could produce a lot more videos down the line, just doing a lot of recording, but also doing some tutorials as well. That would be really fun. Cyberpunk first, please. All right, that's my first request, so I'm going to jump onto that one. SoCon, could you explain Alienware Command Center overclock works? Like there's a bunch of stuff like overclock 1, overclock 2, but I don't know how to use them. So overclock 2, I know that's the one that I typically go with. It will make your fans go a lot faster to give your computer the ability to run your CPU at a higher speed. So that's typically what I do on that. It doesn't typically run your fans at full speed. I think you have to create a custom setting for that. Underneath underclock 02, I know there's a setting beneath that to where you could just max that out. But then there's also settings for overclocking your GPU, the memory on that, and the clock speed. So I think 100 megahertz was the sweet spot that I noticed overclocking both of those at, but there's some things that it might crash on if you do that. And then undervolting, playing around with throttle stop to do some undervolting on that. I might do a tutorial on that to kind of show what I did in my tests to get a little bit higher of numbers. Justin J. Diaz, it's 12:46 here in the Philippines. Just here to watch your vids and support you, man. Keep up the good work. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Foxy Feet, who even plays Cyberpunk? I guess a lot of people. That's usually my first request on these benchmark tests. Okay, all that's set up. Let's get HW info in there. Have that running. You can see all of our stats on screen. All right, Cyberpunk. Let's check it out. Why throttle stop? MSI has unlocked BIOS. So an interesting about that, I need to look into that a little bit further, but when I upgraded the V BIOS, or I don't know if it was always like this, but the typical, I think it was uh, Alt, it was Control Shift Alt F2 to enter the BIOS for MSI. And I did that and that wasn't working. So I found this other website that said to hit delete. So delete actually ended up taking me into the BIOS. And there was no overclocking features in there. So I don't know if me updating the BIOS did something with that, but I didn't see any options for that. And when I go into Intel utility, I forgot what it was called. Um, Anyways, when I try to undervolt it, that whole section is grayed out. One thing I want to do is show the temperatures, or not the temperatures, the power on the GPU. Make sure that that's in the on-screen display. GPU power. Huh. That option is not in there. That's weird. Might have to show the power limit that it's achieving in the full review, but after the vBIOS update, apparently we can get 165 watts on the GPU now, up to 165 watts, when normally it was 155. Talix, wow, I need a laptop now and I'm looking to get a GE76 with a 3070. It's hitting shelves next week. I saw Asus say they were updating all their laptops and I wish I could wait to see what they do. So what's hitting shelves next week? The GE76 that I got has a 3080 in it. Foxy Feet, I own an Alienware 240 hertz monitor. You don't need Command Center. Asmit, Tawari, bro, how is the Lenovo Legion 5 Pro? I wish I knew. I ordered that one a while ago, and it says that it's not arriving at my house until December 7th. That's how much of a backstock they have on the Legion 5 Pros, which is pretty insane. So I usually do these tests not with ray tracing, but I can show what it does with both ray tracing on and off. Yeah, so just have the quick preset set to ultra, the texture quality to high. That's typically what I do these at. Asmit said, is it worth it to buy the Lenovo Legion 5 Pro over the Legion 7? I'm getting the Legion 7 next month, so I'll be able to have a better insight on at least one of those. But before I do a review on a computer, I watch most of the top videos on that machine first, so that I can make sure that I get all the small nuggets of requests that people in the comments ask for. And the most common request that I see, is it saying 260 frames per second? Is that right? Oh, that's okay. So that's showing the average. I'm going to reset. Let me reset my Afterburner. Sometimes it doesn't let me reset what it's calculating my average to be. Anyways, so the Legion 5 Pro, what I was talking about earlier, is the most requested, most talked about computer that I've seen out of all the comments. I have a list of laptops that I put a star next to every time I see somebody mention it or request it in a comment of another video, and the Legion 5 Pro has the most stars next to it. So apparently you guys are really looking for that computer. Apparently it's the most popular as far as, I guess, performance to price ratio that people are looking into, and it's also one of the most difficult to get right now because the one that I ordered, I'm not getting till December, like I was mentioning earlier. There we go. Okay, so reset the counter. So right now at those settings, looks like I'm averaging in this really nice environment 97 frames per second at 1080p. We'll be doing some 4K tests here at the end of this video on all of these as well after I change the resolution. But this is a 1080p monitor, so the only time that's going to really matter to you, obviously, is when you're using an external monitor. So now it's getting closer to 95 average. This middle number underneath that 4000 megahertz is what the average is. Far number all the way to the left is the current. Next to that is the low. And at the very end, that's the high that we've gotten. All right, so I'm going to make sure that I'm looking at some of these comments while I'm just moving around here to make sure that I'm getting the best average over time. How much is Cyberpunk? I believe it is $60. Did no one notice there's Legion 5 laptops in Micro Center? I did not find that to be the case. I'll double check, but if that's true, then that's awesome. I know a few weeks ago there were some available at Walmart, and those just went out of stock like very quickly. Let's see. SoCon, Justin, have you reviewed the Rogue double screen laptop? If so, what do you think about that laptop? I talked about this, I think, in a different live chat, but that one, as far as from a creator standpoint, like me, I haven't tested the actual performance of it yet, but that looks like a dream of a laptop to work on, honestly. I know it's super expensive, but that extra screen screen keyboard thing that it has, that looks really awesome to be able to use to put some of my different Adobe Premiere controls on. I definitely want to get one of those in. I feel like it's been out for a while that if I created a video on that, it wouldn't do too well since there's already too many videos on it, and it wouldn't be really a new product. I want to look into seeing if there's a new one coming out soon because I definitely want to hop onto that. I think it's the Asus Duo. So it looks like 98 frames per second is about the average. I think that's on the higher end from what I got on my other laptops, but we'll see here in a second. 71 watts on the GPU, 83 on the CPU, 88 max. This was definitely the more hotter games that I saw on the other ones, but I mean 82 is 86. I mean it's higher, but it's not getting close to a throttling heat right now. Let me answer some of these questions real quick. Asmit, does Lenovo Legion 7 price go down as the price would start from 1669, but on websites it's showing 1779, 1799. I think because it's harder to get the Legion 7 right now, that you might find some scalpers trying to up the price on other websites. Freddie, I think if you're asking me that question on how much did this laptop that I got, the GE76 with a 3080 and an i7 processor, this one cost me $3,100. Lalit said GE76 Raider i9 and RTX 3080. Is DLSS on? No, I haven't found that DLSS. Actually, I don't think you can turn on DLSS for 1920 by 1080. I think once I turn that on, or I'll set it to auto, I think it changes my resolution I think I'm correct on that. Let me go to video. Okay, so this game I guess doesn't. I've noticed on other games that it makes a bigger difference when when I turn on 4K. So I think this saves it automatically. Yeah. I stand corrected. Okay. So with DLSS on, we're seeing 132 frames per second. I feel like when I did the Alienware X17, DLSS didn't make that big of a difference. So that's a better number. Let's give it a little bit more time to heat up. So those CPU temperatures getting hotter. 92 degrees right there. GPU still resting at about 66, so that's not too bad. On the review of the internals, you can see that the GPU has a little bit more heat pipes, so that might be a factor on why it cools it a little bit better. Drop back down to 81. So 130 frames per second, that's pretty good on Cyberpunk. Play Roblox test. I want to buy just to try out Roblox. I don't currently have Roblox on here, but I think that's a pretty quickly downloadable game, right? Should I buy the Legion 7 AMD or the Legion 5 Pro with the same GPU? That's a good question. If I go by popular opinion, it would be the Legion 5 Pro, as far as what people are wanting the most. But I'm getting the Legion 7 here in a few weeks, so I'll be able to answer that question better once I actually get my hands on it and test it in person, because can't really trust everything that people say on Reddit or even obviously what the companies themselves say. So 84, 85, and 68 temperatures. You can see it runs a little bit hotter on the CPU than the X17, but in HD, 134 frames per second. Now, I didn't do DLSS with the X17. I don't typically have that on for HD. So to keep things consistent, I'm going to use the number that we did without DLSS and then put DLSS underneath that. now that the computer's been heating up a little bit, I'll do one more test with the DLSS off. Yeah, I typically turn on DLSS only with 4K. Yeah, it looks like 105 is about the sweet spot without DLSS. Still the fastest, the most frames per second I've ever seen on any of my computers. I think even more than the desktop Aurora R12, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. There's something wrong, I think, with my Aurora R12 because their numbers, some of them were lower than some of the laptops. Majority of them were higher, but it was still not that much higher for desktop. I don't know if there's something specifically wrong with mine, but it was not doing what it should have. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead. Was there another request on here? I think Roblox was the next request. I don't have that, but I think that's a pretty quick game to download. Let me check real quick. Let's put a random date. Let's see. Suggest strong password. Use password saved in your Google account. Oh, I guess it doesn't show. Okay, I thought it was going to show some of the password. I guess that's fine. Sign up. Yes, save. Okay, what's a good one to play? I never play Roblox. Actually, STK, I'm going to jump onto another game. If you want to tell me, or unless you reply really quickly, which one you prefer me to jump in, because I don't know what a good test for this would be. You need to download the app for Roblox FS Unlocker. Okay, so maybe in the Microsoft Store. Get. All right, let me make sure I'm not skipping out on any of these comments. Appreciate you guys for interacting. This is a good amount of people interacting. Just going to skip over some of the comments that are talking to each other. Do you think the Alienware keyboard and mouse worthy to keep as your main working device? Yes, I definitely do. Those are my two favorite keyboard and mouse. Actually, the keyboard was my favorite. The mouse, I kind of liked the SteelSeries mouse that I reviewed a little bit better than the Alienware mouse. But if you want to get a matching set, something that just matches everything, the Alienware mouse is also a really nice keyboard. Just wish it had better LEDs. It felt a little out of place compared to how great the LEDs looked on everything else. How are the temperatures on the keyboard and palm? Good question. Are you feeling some heat? No, actually, I do not feel any heat on the keyboard. In my next test, I'm going to put my hands... I'm actually using an external keyboard right now because my laptop is up higher to my right, and I want to be facing the computer that I'm actually doing my stream on. So I haven't been keeping my fingers on the computer for most of this, but as of right now, the keys don't feel that hot. The keys always feel extremely hot on my Alienware M17, and that's my biggest complaint about my M17 that I've always had with it, that it's just always been really hot. Too hot to actually put in my lap. The bottom part of it is extremely hot. Is the laptop capable of giving you good battery life? Does it change refresh rate to 60 hertz? It doesn't automatically change the refresh rate to 60 hertz. I changed it to 60 hertz and for my battery tests, and at 50% brightness, I've already done those tests. The battery lasted for 5.5 hours for HD streaming, which was pretty good. Or was it 5.5? Or let me double check real quick. I know it lasted 10 hours and 50 minutes in idle and web mode, so that was really impressive. It's a 99 watt-hour battery, so it's definitely the longest amount of battery that I've ever had on a gaming laptop. But let me look at my notes real quick to make sure that I give you the most accurate battery that I had on HD streaming. Yeah, it was 5.5 hours HD streaming at 60 hertz in battery saver mode. And honestly, you're not going to really want 360 hertz while you're watching videos that only play at 60 frames per second. It's just a waste. And then gaming, I gamed in performance mode. I might do a gaming in regular quiet mode. Gaming on the battery, not a very good experience. Obviously, it's everything was throttled at 30 frames per second. And I only got 1 hour of battery gaming at performance with all of my settings maxed up. So I'm going to do a test as well with my thermal settings to quiet and my performance settings at the bottom to battery saver. See if that gives me any more of a performance downgrade, and also see if that gives me longer battery than 1 hour. Sid kills not using throttle stop right now. No, I'm not using any type of undervolting right now. I actually am kind of confused about how to get that to work in the BIOS, because I've been reading on some of the forums after I think it was after I updated the BIOS. I hadn't really checked out the BIOS until I did the update, which I probably should have. I updated the VBIOS to give me 165 watts maximum graphics power from the original 155 watts. But yeah, in my BIOS, there's no advanced overclocking settings that I can find. And I haven't read through all of the different help forums yet to see what the solutions that people found were for that. But yeah, as of right now, I can't undervolt because of that. Just got the confirmation my Alienware, or Nightpack Gaming said, I just got the confirmation that my Alienware X17 3080 RTX is finally getting shipped today. Pretty excited about how it'll play out. Awesome. Congrats. Yeah, mine took, I think it took 7 days after I got that email to get to my house. So yeah, you should be getting it pretty soon. Lalit, thanks for going to my comment. Really appreciate that. Just one thing, try repasting. It made a huge difference in my performance benchmarks in games. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about that. I don't know if I feel too comfortable repasting on a computer that I don't plan on keeping. I'm not sure if that voids warranty or not, or if that's dangerous. But I know the majority of the people that watch these, or probably at least more than half, probably won't be repasting. I might do a repasting on my M17 since that's my personal laptop that I'm keeping. I'll see if that voids the warranty first. I don't think it does, but I got a long extended warranty on that, so I don't want to trash that. Can you confirm that the new thermal concept is really that good as Alienware claims? Seems that the MSI GE76 is doing a great job on that, either without new concepts. From some of the reviews that I've seen, the GE76 is running hotter than the Alienware X17 with the same specs. And as we've seen today in one of the tests so far, we are getting hotter temperatures within Cyberpunk, but also better performance in Cyberpunk than we got on the Alienware X17. Alesso says, upscales to 1080p, look close to 1080p, but frames per second. What would you get at like 900p? It's a good question. You need to download the app for Roblox FPS Unlocker. FPS Unlocker. Are you saying that's within the app itself? There's an FPS Unlocker? Will you review Legion 7i? I got another request for that today. Yeah. Yeah, I might look into that. I am getting the Legion 7, not 7i, next month. So I'll be reviewing that one pretty soon. Might be a good idea to do a comparison between the two after I review them both. Are you willing to review if Alienware UFO comes out? Yes, definitely. Will you review the, have you seen the new HP Omen 17 2021? I have seen that one. I tried to find it. I could not find that one anywhere. That one seems to be sold out everywhere. I am getting in the HP Victus, the more budget-friendly HP machine that a lot of people are requesting about some point next month. Roblox isn't a good choice for testing FPX. You can download those stuffs on internet, which I don't recommend. Yeah, I don't know too much about Roblox. I might just come back to that one later. I'm going to jump onto some of the games that I understand a little bit better. Grand Theft Auto is a good one. Ravi said, is this laptop good for learning machine learning and artificial intelligence and developing apps? Yeah, this one is super fast at computational benchmarks from what I've seen. I'm going to run a few of those for my full review. I won't be doing those benchmarks today, but I'll be doing creative benchmarks for Adobe Premiere, After Effects, and Photoshop and DaVinci. And then I'll be doing some benchmarks for some more of those programming type things as well. MSI battery is not easily replaceable, at least it's not easily available in India, and it costs a hell to replace the battery. Yeah, I haven't really thought about that, Kanan R. I do know that the battery so far on this 99 watt hour battery is pretty awesome. Lelit for BIOS undervolt, I'm using it left shift control alt F2. So if that's all on the left side, then I might have been hitting the wrong buttons for that. But still, delete was taking me into some sort of BIOS. So maybe there's two different BIOS, and I just wasn't going into the right BIOS. I'm actually going to, since there's a lot of comments on here, I'm going to just take a picture of that with my phone. Thank you, Lalit, for that. I'm going to take a look into that for my full review to make sure that I also give you guys a little insight on what this laptop is doing with undervolting. Foxy Feet says, I'm not sure if you're aware, but GP66 back panel takes about 20 minutes to remove. So the GE76 was one of the very difficult back panels to remove. The screws were on there super tight. I usually use kind of like a cell phone type, what do you call them? The T6, no, not the T6s. They were just the smaller versions of Phillips head tips, and that was just too small for me to really get enough leverage to open it up. So I had to use a regular screwdriver with a small tip just to get some of those screws off. Carlos R. Ortiz, holla, what's going on? Battlefield 5. Yeah, I don't have that one on here, but like I said, a bad word. Look at that, 188 frames per second. That's looking good. Robbie, thanks for answering my question. No problem, man. Que aburrido. I think you said how boring. Sorry about that. I think that's what that means. Do you have X17 or already shipped out? Yeah, I already shipped that back. I usually only have these computers for about 2 weeks. You play Fortnite? I don't typically play Fortnite. I thought I downloaded it for this, and I didn't, so maybe I'll just put that in my full review, the results that I got on that. But, so right now, 188 frames per second, pretty impressive in this environment. Let me make sure that my settings are up. Or just up to where I typically have them. Yep. Refresh rate. That's not holding me back at all. Huh. I don't know why that's on. Sorry, I was one-handing it while I was moving my face. If you want to choose between MSI GE76, Asus Zephyrus Duo, Lenovo Legion Pro, which one would be best pick? So the one that I'm liking the most, that I haven't actually tested out yet, is that Zephyrus Duo, especially for content creation. I just love that extra screen display. Kind of reminds me of my wife's MacBook. She's got that little extra toolbar of functionality. So let's run this test real quick one more time. Then we're going to record our temperatures and the average frames per second. Right now, the keyboard itself on the MSI laptop is really cool. Like, not even warm, honestly. My laptop, my Alienware M17 laptop that's just running the streaming software right now is cooking hot. Really hot. So I'm pretty impressed with that. The input lag from the actual screen to my streaming software on a different computer is kind of affecting my driving a little bit. Also, I'm not really that good at driving in Grand Theft Auto. Alright, so that's good enough. 75, 43, 188. So 75 on the CPU, and the GPU is super cool. So let's go ahead and record that. Yeah, it was 45 temperature on the GPU. That's pretty awesome. Look at the graph real quick and see what it did over time. Alright, so let's go ahead and record that. Yeah, 54 is pretty cool. I'm pretty impressed with that temperature. But yeah, 187 was what we were getting average. That's the highest we've seen in GTA. That's pretty good. So I'm going to jump into Warzone also. Looks like I'm getting a few Warzone requests. Alicio said, I have a cousin who works in 3D animation and has a desktop, but he wants a laptop for when he travels to work on his jobs. What would you recommend for around 2K USD? 2K. I think my HP Omen 15 was around that price, and it performed pretty well. That had a 3070 in it. Ninja, really great stream again. Have to leave now, but I'll catch up later. No problem, man. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. To enable advanced BIOS, it's right shift control. Okay, yeah. Type that in. Okay, so you type that in after you're already in the BIOS, and then the BIOS changes. Okay. And then under the advanced column, select overclocking menu and set it to enabled and rest as mentioned. Okay. Stable undervolt, you said was negative 60 millivolts. I'll try that out. Qual laptop, I'm not sure what that is. Both processor and ring. Crescent thermals of MSI are really good. I didn't know MSI was a thing until last year. Okay, laptop. Yes, it's the MSI GE76. Dustin Howes, heat graphs are cool and all, but you should really learn how to drive. Good to see you on here, Dustin. What do you think about Samsung Odyssey? I have not looked into that yet. Crescent, it's the first stream of yours that I'm joining. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for joining. Yeah, these will get faster and more better paced as I kind of learn and go on. But yeah, you should have seen my first few streams. I couldn't even get the technical stuff working properly, but people still stuck through it. I appreciate it. All right, so we're going to jump into Warzone now to check out the benchmarks on that game. Open up Battle.net. I need some water from all this talking. Yeah, I don't know. The Alienware was the love of my life, but you can't really argue with these these FPS numbers that we're getting with the MSI GE76. I'm really impressed. Honestly, style is really a personal thing. Smile, how's it going? There we go. Play Battle Royale. Installing shaders. I just tested this last night. Go back and wait. What are you installing right now? Pack 1? Why is it only at 4%? That's weird. Okay, 81%. So whatever that was, it must have been a new update. 86%. OMG, I was in your live stream for like 2 hours. Guess I'm really enjoying your live. Well, appreciate that. Yeah, it's definitely nice hanging out with you guys and just checking out these cool machines. It's definitely a great way to know that YouTubers aren't BSing you with fake numbers to get money from these companies, which I'm not getting money from any of these companies. Just the ones that I say are sponsoring videos, which I say right before an ad that I place in a video. But those usually don't even have to do with the gaming technology. Searching for a match. Pink Edge, hi, how's it going? Sandeep Raj, can you please play on the laptop keyboard and let me know how it feels? I don't like using an external keyboard. No problem. I'll do that. Just have to kind of face a different direction for this. But once the match starts, I can do that for you. Right now, the laptop is super cool. Foxy Feet, yeah, what's wrong with the Alienware laptops? Is that thing has inverted mother motherboard. F, that's so dumb. Yeah, unfortunately, it does appear that the motherboard is inverted. I mean, that doesn't make a huge difference for me because I don't usually repaste or anything like that, but Sandeep says, seriously considering buying this laptop if the keyboard temperatures are good. You know what I'm going to do for you too is I'm going to get my little laser thermometer. Oh, whoops, I did not deploy my parachute. I like to deploy it at the very last minute for least amount of fall time. Oh, snap, I'm already getting shot at. So it looks like Afterburner is... Does it just make me run automatically? Why is that something locked right now? Yeah, I need to close down Afterburner because my frames per second is not updating. Oh, I have Grand Theft. I have Grand Theft Auto still running right now. Gotta close that out. Yeah, I have to hit this button on my keyboard to reset the average frames per second counter on these games. I'm a squad leader. So you can see at the far left what the average or what the frames per second I'm currently getting is. But that average frames per second is not resetting. 75 feels a little low though for 1080p on Warzone. I'm gonna hide inside while I figure this out. Hopefully nobody's in here and they're waiting to shoot me. Graphics. Oh, render resolution 30. That's not what I want the resolution to be. Okay, display resolution 1920 by 1080. Not sure if this matters setting that to 100. Alright, those are all my typical settings. Still not resetting my average. So you're gonna have to, I guess we're gonna have to look at that frames per second number there in the left. So right now the keyboard feels slightly warmer, but not really that warm at all. It feels kind of, trying to describe the warmth of it. Kind of just like the warmth you would feel on your hand if you sat on your hand. Probably a little cooler than that. Like if you sat on one hand and then touched that hand that you were sitting on, a little bit cooler than that warmth. So not bad at all. Unless you got a hot butt and then it's burning hot. Frames per second should be 100. Let's see if anything in the background is happening right now. Doesn't look like anything else is happening. Nothing big going on except for Call of Duty. Yeah, it's pretty interesting that it's... Yeah, 81 seems a little low. CPU's not too hot either. All right, let's see some of these comments real quick. Lilith said, hey, made a video for you. Please let me know where to send it for advanced BIOS and undervolt. If you go into my description, I can just tell it to you too. My email that I use for YouTube is justin@justintech.tips. So justin@justintech.tips. That's the address that I use for just anything YouTube. So if you want to send that video there, really appreciate that. But yeah, that's a pretty low frames per second. Let's see what some of these comments are saying. How or what do you use to save and download games onto the laptop? There aren't any videos on that. Not sure if it's just the website's launcher or what. So for all my Steam games, I actually back it up. I backed it up onto a hard drive, and then I just restore from that hard drive anytime I put stuff on a new laptop. But yeah, all the other games I just re-download straight from their websites. Will X17R1, which has 4K 120 Hz, struggle a lot to run a AAA title on games? No, I don't think it'll struggle at all. It did pretty well. Does it have a mux switch? Yes, currently I have the mux switch turned on, but it doesn't make too big of a difference when or it doesn't really make a difference when I am connected to an external monitor, which I'm doing for this stream. So you're basically getting the frames per second that you'll see with the mux switch enabled. Yeah, because everybody sits on their hands. Ask Rev TV, restart the game, maybe you get more free FPS. It's an RTX 3080 right away, only 80 frames per second. Yeah, I don't really understand why it's only 80 frames per second. I was getting some pretty good numbers in Cyberpunk compared to my other gaming laptops, so this is kind of interesting. I might restart to see what's happening. Keyboard doesn't get hot. Not the sides or anything, just the back and side blast. Thermals are excellent. Plenty of room for air inside the chassis to flow. So I'm feeling the heat on the sides. If you put a mouse next to the keyboard, that's honestly really not that hot either, especially compared to my Alienware M17. That's kind of hot on my hand. Let me feel the bottom of the laptop. Wow, the bottom of the laptop actually feels cold. That's really impressive. This is really making me feel like my M17 has really bad thermals. Because yeah, you're definitely not going to be. You're going to be pretty pleased with the thermals on the outside of it. So I'm going to restart Warzone, see if that fixes anything for me, because something's not right here. Close down BattleNet. And for reference, what I was getting in Warzone on the X17 was 128 frames per second at HD. So you can see I just started doing Warzone in my lineup, doing more games about double the games that I was doing when I first started doing gaming laptop reviews. But yeah, let's restart that and see if we get some better results now. Yeah, somebody killed me, but I just exited out of the game, so now I just disappeared from their life. Can't kill me when I'm gone. Alright, let's see if this does anything different. Have you disabled ray tracing? That can really affect the frames. I did not look into that, but normally I think by default that's turned off. I'll look into that though. Is it good to replace thermal paste with liquid metal? I don't think that this is liquid metal. Oh, you're saying, okay. You're asking to put liquid metal on it. That, I don't know. So let's jump into the settings first. Graphics. Yeah, this render resolution is still set back up to above 1920 by 1080. I'm not exactly sure what that does, but it seems like that should always be 100, and that's what I have been seeing it at in my other reviews. Oh, ray tracing is enabled. Okay. That might have been a factor. DLSS is disabled. Let's go ahead and turn that on, see if that... Oh, you usually have this on a balanced mode. Apply settings. I'm using NVIDIA Broadcast for this little camera follow feature. It doesn't quite work as expected all the time. Sandeep says the MSI GE76 with an RTX 3070 QHD 165 Hz display, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and 2 terabytes of storage costs roughly $3,000 US in Australia. Do you think it's a good deal, or should I consider the X17 with an RTX 3070 instead? 165 Hz display. What resolution is that 165 Hz display? Oh, you said QHD. I mean, QHD is the sweet spot. You don't really need 4K. Yeah, I think that's a good deal. I mean, it's expensive, but that's a pretty awesome laptop that you're talking about. Although this laptop that I'm using right now is $3,100, and is a 3080. Okay, so now we're seeing 150 frames per second. 160. That's looking a lot better. I'm going to try one more time to reset Afterburner. So that I can get my average frames per second, because that's not updating right now. Okay, there we go. Now it's updating, and we're looking at 147 frames per second. 144. Yeah, still the keyboard, very cool. You can feel the air coming out of it. But no, you're not gonna be disappointed with it being too hot. Does anybody else like to fall as much as possible before deploying their parachute? It's almost a game to see how close I can get to the ground. I feel like I'd probably do that in real life. No, I wouldn't do that. That's too dangerous. "145 frames per second, that's looking pretty good. So I don't normally have DLSS on at 180 frames per or 180p. So I'm going to turn that off and see what we get with that. I don't think that was the only factor in being at 100 frames per second. I think it was more the ray tracing. So I'm going to turn it off, apply settings, back. And this is the actual number that we're going to write down. Wow. Okay. I turned off DLSS, and we still have an average of 142 frames per second. I'm liking that. That CPU is looking pretty hot though. If you look at that temperature, we're getting 96. We got 96 degrees Celsius there a second ago. So I wonder if you play this long enough, if you start to get some throttling there closer to the 100. GPU is looking pretty cool though, 67 degrees. It almost seems like they should have divided up the heat pipes, gave some of that love over to the CPU for how hot it's going to get. But hey, looks like the temperature's coming down a little bit. It's not quite at that 90 anymore. That's good. Is it worthy to buy Alienware headset? I have not bought an Alienware headset to know for sure on that. They look really cool, I'll tell you that much. The headset that I'm using right now, I got the Arctis Pro, SteelSeries Arctis Pro, and I was going to do an unboxing on that, but I found a really good deal on Amazon for a refurbished version of it. It's usually $170, but I got these for $100, not $170, and I just got a 2-year protection plan on it. I think that was for like 20 bucks, 2-year protection plan. I could send the link. I think there might be still some refurbished versions of this left. But I thought that was a pretty good deal to have a 2-year basically protection on it for only spending $100 on a headset, really high quality headset. That's usually costs 170 for only $100. That's pretty good. Plus, anything that you buy with my affiliate links really helps me out, and I would really appreciate it. Because, or if you know you're going to buy something on Amazon that has nothing to do with my links, if you just go to Amazon with one of my links, That's the easiest way for any of you guys to just help me out without even spending any extra money or really putting in any effort. Because yeah, YouTube doesn't pay that much for small channels. Just got to spend time, keep going at it, and hopefully one day it'll be big enough. All right, so I've done enough walking around in here. We've got 134 frames per second average. CPU temperature came back down. I'm going to give it a 84, since I've been seeing it kind of rest around there at the peak. So 84, 66, 135. '84. Wow, same exact temperature as the X17. But yeah, again, the frames per second beat out the Alienware X17. So performance-wise, I'm feeling like the GE76 is making me like it a little bit better and making me not care as much about those butterflies I get from the look and feel of the X17. The keyboard on the X17, definitely a lot better feel. If you tend to use the laptop keyboard a lot, it's louder, but really has nice key travel and much more of a premium feel than this GE76. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out. And now I'm going to jump into Forza. Unless we had another. Forza has great benchmarks. I love running that. And because Forza has just an automatic set of benchmarks, I can actually read some of these comments and address some of the things you guys are talking about. Because while I'm playing a game, it's hard for me to respond the best way. I just realized I'm wearing a different shirt. Oh no. I'm not wearing my review shirt. Yes, all laptops are cheaper in the US. Yeah, I kind of figured that. I would think that some of the laptops that are mostly built in China, though, should cost less in China. So that demo seemed to have crashed on us. DLSS in Warzone isn't worth it. It makes seeing enemies that are far away a lot harder. Oh, interesting. Does it just kind of give them too much motion blur or depth of field or something? It's an esports title, so most people would run low setting for max FPS. Can you do that on low setting? Are you talking about Forza on low setting or Horizon on low setting? Ask Rev. Sent the mail. Kindly check when possible. Thanks, man. I'll definitely look into that video you sent. Custom. Ultra, that's what I always have it at. Frame rate, unlocked is what I want. Vertical synchronization off. I want to be unlocked. All right, those are all the settings I typically go with. Let's see what this got. Oh wait, did I continue without saving? No, it saved. Benchmark mode. If I want to buy this laptop for low price, I need to go to Taiwan. I heard Taiwan has a lot of really good prices on a lot of things. Like people that I've known that have gone to Taiwan for a vacation, they've said that they've basically lived like kings going to Taiwan just because everything's so inexpensive. Might want to try that out. I mean, just flying there from the US might cost $2,000 a person, but once you're there, it sounds like it'd be a pretty nice all-inclusive vacation. Sandeep, I think I might go for the X17 RTX 3070 over the MSI GE76, mainly because of the looks, better keyboard, as you said, and the smaller power brick. Um, oh, okay, so I think that, yeah, I think the 3070 does have a smaller power brick than the 3080. Um, I don't think you can get the smaller power brick for the 3080 though. So if anybody gets the 3080 on the X17, that option isn't there. But yeah, I saw that when I was in the checkout that there's an option for, I think it was like $20 more. You could buy this smaller version of the power brick, which I thought was pretty interesting. I wonder if there's any performance differences with that. I would assume that because it's more expensive, it's just better technology and there's not performance downgrade, which if it's the same wattage, it should be the same, I would think. Want to see The Witcher 3. Yep, I can do that one next because I downloaded that one. Lady Fair, Amazon is sold out of the model you linked to. Really? Already? What Lady Fair, which country are you in? Because I thought I checked that yesterday and it looked like it was still available. But that was the US store on Amazon. Ali said you can get a laptop from China, which is easier than other countries, at least for Iran it's easier. Askrev said Warzone, I mean on low setting. Forza should be on max setting. Yeah, I can check Warzone on the lowest settings, but I mean at the high presettings that I had it on, that 144 frames per second was pretty impressive. So I guess they're out of the US at the US Amazon. 174 frames per second. I can't remember exactly what the X17 was. I'm excited to put this number next to it, but I know it's more. 174. Okay. Wait. Yep. 174. Every single number better on the GE76. Every single FPS number. The biggest difference, GTA 5, 187. That's pretty awesome. Oh, I didn't take down the temperatures. Let me look up what that is. So CPU temperature in game, it was at 82. What was the GPU temperature? Is that not in my graph? Okay. 63. 63 and 82. By the way, all my temperatures on here are at the 1080p options. So actually slightly cooler than the X17 on the GPU and the same temperature on the CPU. Looks like it's got bigger guns than the X17. What was that next request? Oh, that's right. That was The Witcher. Let's close down Forza. Open up The Witcher. Sandeep Raj, thank you for taking the time to answer all my questions and yet another awesome stream, Justin. I actually set a reminder to catch your stream live. Gotta bounce now. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Sandeep. Appreciate it. Glad you stopped by. Ali Damanpak, Iran's government is planning to close the international internet, so I think I can't watch your videos. So they're blocking content from other countries? That's not cool. NVIDIA hair work on. I don't think I've specifically tested NVIDIA hair work before on this. So I can run the benchmarks with and without that just so that you can see that. But to compare apples to apples, I'm going to write down the number without that, unless that's something that they typically usually already have on it. Okay, so I guess NVIDIA Hairworks is already on. I'm going to test this at 1920 by 1080. VSync off. All settings maxed up. Yes, I want to make those changes. Let's make sure it saved them. Yes, it did. Cordy, how's it going? Good to see you. All right, I need to reset that. Hey. Don't cut me up. 133 frames per second average so far. 73 degrees Celsius on the CPU. Do you guys think that if I added music to my streams that it would make them a little better? I realize sometimes it gets a little quiet when I'm not talking the entire time, which you probably don't want to hear me talk the entire time. Ask Rev, see you later. Thanks for stopping by. "135 frames per second, I'm pretty sure that's up there. One of the lower CPU temperatures so far. GPU percentage, it's really cranking on that GPU. So 76, 75, 73, 135. So what exactly is Hairworks? That just makes better looking hair? Because I saw there was a setting there for, it said it was on 8. Oh, I guess 8 is the highest number. So, interesting. So those are our numbers there. It looks like it's just 2 frames more than what we got on the X17. So not much higher. Yeah, I might look into a good streaming music service to kind of put some stuff in the background. All right, Call of Duty Black Ops, Doom, Apex Legends, or Minecraft. I'm going to jump into one of those next. I've got to go to the bathroom real quick. Oh yeah, Tomb Raider 2. Yeah, the one thing about Spotify is that I think if I use copyrighted music, I want to look into some good ambient copyright-free music because I definitely don't want to get flagged by YouTube or miss out on any type of ad revenue because all of it goes to the person that created that song. All right, so did anybody mention a game? No, okay, I'll go ahead and jump into Call of Duty Black Ops. I like testing out that one. Plus, I love playing Call of Duty. The only bad thing about that game is that there's never anybody online Call of Duty Black Ops 4. So for my tests, I'm always doing just custom games with bots. But I completely own those bots. NCS, I'll have to take a look at that. Wow, it's already 1:14. Man. So I'll just do a couple 4K tests today since I'm running out of time to do it for all these games. But definitely keep an eye out for, I'll be putting the 4K in the spreadsheet, but also be talking about it in my full review as well. If anybody's specifically wanting to know about 4K on a certain game, just let me know which game, and I'll hit up those games first. Might do 2 or 3 4K tests. Bunch of bots. Team deathmatch. Make sure everything else is closed down. At one time, Black Ops was very popular in servers. Yeah, I think it's just an older game and people aren't really wanting to play it as much. I really like these first-person like team shooters um, more than like battle royale modes. I know battle royale is like really popular, but I just like jumping in there, being on a team, and playing traditional stuff. Cordy, do you do cycling? What do you mean by that? Affecting the performance at all? Let's go ahead and reset my average. Uh-oh. Oh no. I've been electrified. Wow. 225 frames per second. What are my settings at right now? Display resolution. So that's where that should be. Vertical sync is off. Looks like the default high settings are on there. But I think I usually crank all these up to the highest. Not down here though, I don't usually mess with those. Wow, even with all those settings jacked up, look at these frames per second. 220. There's always somebody over here by the tank. Always. Oh, he was behind me. Jeez. So 204 CPU. I've been seeing 85 mostly. It's 85, 74, 205. So as you can see across the board, most of these games are a little bit hotter. But yeah, we're getting higher frames per second on every single game. 30 frames per second difference on Call of Duty Black Ops. That's pretty significant. To me, that's significant enough to bypass my warm fuzzies I get over the X17. So let's jump into Tomb Raider. It's a really good benchmark. Change refresh rates to max possible. Right now it's at 60 in settings. I don't think that should matter too much when I'm going to an external display and it's showing me a higher frames per second than 60. I think my screen Oh yeah, I don't have my screen settings on here because I'm going to a different screen. Do not take Zephyrus Duo, just returned mine. What issue did you have with your Zephyrus Duo, Lelit? That was one of those ones that I was really looking, that looked really nice to me. Buy Steam Deck for high quality RAM. Yeah, that Steam Deck is looking pretty cool. Yes, yes, yes. Monitor refresh. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's letting me go past 60 hertz monitor refresh. I don't know why that is. Maybe it has something to do with my capture card. Maybe it maxes out at 60 hertz. I don't think that would have anything to do with it, but either way, we're seeing. I mean, it's not throttling us at all because we're seeing past 60 frames per second. Preset, I want this to be ultra or highest. I always have it set to highest. VSync off. All right, those are my settings. Let's see what we get. Lalette said no muck switch. The performance in Dying Light was fluctuating between 30 to 180 frames per second. Wow, that's quite a big difference. And same in Factor as well. Have a look at my Twitter. I shared a video and Asus did accept the return. So would you recommend the Duo for creative people, Lalit? Or you're basically saying that there's something wrong with that laptop in general that is making performance across the board not very good? I haven't heard of any laptops with DDR5 RAM coming soon. Thoughts on the M15R4? Have mine coming in tomorrow. I mean, I really like my M17R3. I know that heating, the actual laptop itself does get pretty hot, so it's too hot for my lap, but I hardly ever have it in my lap. Um, but yeah, I like it a lot, and I know the M15R4 is a step above that. I have seen that the M15R6 has come out, so I'm kind of interested in seeing what that's capable of. Lalit said, for content creators it's good, but definitely games are getting bottlenecked due to non-mucks and no advanced Optimus. Yeah, that's kind of the reason that I'm really salivating over that one a lot, for content creation and the extra cool screen for more buttons. Okay, what was my results? Average frames per second, 128. Look at that. See what the heating was doing during that whole process. Well, pretty low. 50, or no, 70, 80 was about the highest average on the CPU. '80 and 70. Another frames per second that beat out the X17. Justin Zephyr's duo performance was absolutely mind-blowing. Only issue he has faced was while gaming. AMD 5000 series versus Intel 11th Gen i7, which is good for gaming. They're both good for gaming. The AMD typically has graphics card that are not as hot, but there's been a few instances where I've seen the i7s outperforming the AMD graphics cards. I mean, CPUs. All right, let's go ahead and jump into Doom. Bethesda Net Launcher. Oh, I gotta sign into that. What was that? Let me double check that real quick. I'm gonna disconnect this so I can, or no, I think I have that on my hard drive, what my password was. There we go. All right, I have my password on this other hard drive I need to look at real quick. That's right. On desktop chips, AMD tends to be cooler and take up less power. In most cases, AMD is slightly worse for gaming, but still great. I'm sure laptop CPUs work the same. Damon Blackburn says the X17 scores are with the 4K panel using Optimus, right? I got the 360 hertz with advanced Optimus coming. The X17 scores are with the 4K panel. It's not using Optimus though. The 4K panel was using. It was basically as if you were using a muck switch because I was going through the HDMI to an external monitor for my tests. Yeah, I think that dual screen thing is definitely something a lot of laptops would benefit from. Screens are getting cheaper these days too. And it doesn't need to be a really intense screen. You don't need a super high refresh rate extra screen just for the buttons above the keyboard. It can really be a lower resolution screen just for that extra functionality. Rogue Zephyrus G15, is it a good laptop consider buying? Mainly want to use for coding. Oh yeah, you're definitely gonna, it won't have any problem coding. That was a great laptop overall. Where was those settings? Down here. Video. 1920 by 1080. Vertical sync off. Overall quality, ultra nightmare. That's what I'm talking about. Apply changes. Lalit, absolutely agree with it. In my old Zephyrus Duo 15 and on the Duo 15 SE, I had a delightful experience of having system stats on the second screen without any third-party app. Yeah, that would be pretty nice. Where is my Afterburner? There it is. Oh, what happened to my secondary button? Oh, I Forgot my little rocket launcher secondary button. Oh, there we go. There it is. Wasn't showing up at first. Wow. 270 average frames per second. CPU is getting a little hot. 90 degrees. Let's cut somebody up. Always got to cut up at least one of those guys. Just out of principle for being so evil. Just trying to cut him. Let's get some fuel. Let's get some health. 173 average frames per second. Or 273. It's pretty awesome. $82, 71, 272. 82, 71, 272. Man, these are some good numbers. All right, Apex Legends is our last 1080p that we're going to go through today, and then we'll do 2 4K tests. So let's see what we get for Apex Legends. Which FPS score is the correct one? So the one that keeps moving, I'll show you when I go back into Apex Legends. The one to the far left is the current one. The one right next to that is the lowest, and the one next to that is the middle, the average frames per second, and the one all the way to the right is the highest frames per second that we got. Hey Robbie, do you have a good benchmark that you usually like to run to test out heavy coding tools? Because I can probably run that for the full benchmark, for the full review. Okay, so next to D3D11, that number right next to that is the current frames per second. Right next to that is the lowest frame per second that you got. Next to that is going to be the average, and then all the way to the right is going to be your highest frames per second. So on the menu, that's not really going to show you too much, but once we actually go into a gaming environment, you can kind of see what that does. And I have to hit a button on my keyboard to reset that average counter, because in the menu, having a 257 kind of skews the average. So I'm going to hit F11. See, sometimes I need a restart Afterburner in order for it to reset the counter. There we go. So right now something is maxing it out at 60 frames per second, so let's figure out what that is. probably a VSync thing. Triple buffered is on. Let's do disabled for VSync. That should have fixed it. Okay, so here's another issue that you run into with Apex. I actually looked this up online and I figured it out. There's a code that you have to type in the beginning within Steam in order to let you go past that 144 frames per second. So it's capable of more than 144 frames per second, as you can see it maxing out right here. So I'm going to type that code in, make sure that I remember what that was. Apex, I'm going to Google it real quick. How to get higher than 144 FPS. The code was plus FPS underscore max unlimited. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to restart this or exit out of it. Oh, I'm going to have to type it in because I was in a different computer. So I'm going to start up Steam and launch it from Steam. Properties. So it was plus FPS underscore max underscore unlimited. Make sure I type that in right. FPS underscore max space unlimited. Okay. Not underscore. So tiny on my other monitor. FPS max unlimited. Okay, I spelled that right. So that should be all we needed to do in order to unlock that. Now we hit play, and we should get past 144 frames per second on Apex Legends now. Look at that. 240 frames per second. Those are some incredible FPS numbers. And right now it's not even that hot. 75 degrees. I'm gonna go to the tallest room in the tallest tower. That's usually where things have to process the most, is when you have to look at everything all at once. 255 frames per second. That is absolutely incredible. 256, 257, 258. So 70, 74, 68, 257. But as you can see, the X17 did pretty well, also did pretty well with this game. But we got 5 frames more with this machine. But honestly, you're not going to see that with your eye. It's just impressive that it can go up that high. Alright, I'm going to bump this up to 4K and see what we get with Apex at 4K. Let's see, why is it not letting me change? Maybe if I duplicate first. Show only on 2. Okay, so now I'm at 3840. So let's see what Apex can do at 4K. Gotta go, I'm gonna watch Chelsea Villarreal. Not sure who that is, but they sound awesome. Actually, I think I have heard that name before. Continue. Welcome to Apex Legends. Settings. Video. 3840 by 2160. VSync disabled. Full screen. Keep the video settings, yes. So what do we have here? Looks like 110 frames per second at 4K. Pretty impressive. The fastest 4K I've seen of any game. I can't imagine what this would look like on a 4K massive screen. Probably just feel like you're completely engulfed in this. 4K is really where the future's at when it comes to VR too, because 1080p you definitely get a good screen door effect when you're trying to view things. So 110 frames per second. What did we get with? So 7 frames more on 4K than the X17. Let's see, what's another good one to test out? Ravi said, how is the battery backup in this laptop when playing games and while watching video content? So video content, I got 5.5 hours of battery life. Playing games, I only got 1 hour of battery life. So I'm going to test it, not having it at max settings, because when I did that test, I had performance mode on for everything, battery set to performance mode. So I'm sure that was just sucking up all the battery. But yeah, it's probably going to change a little bit once I change that back down to some better settings. And I was only getting, it was throttling me to only 30 frames per second on everything, no matter what I had my settings to. So I'm sure there's some sort of thing in there where if the power's not at a certain level, then they're not going to allow you to get that many frames per second, which wasn't too great of a gaming experience going down to 30 frames per second since I'm so used to at least 60 on everything. But I mean, it's really hard to play games on just battery mode only. Let's do Forza at 4K, because that's a beautiful game. Options, video, resolution. We want the Mac Daddy 3840. Wow, they've got the ability to make this 8K. That's pretty awesome. I'd really love to see that game in 8K. Unlocked, VSync off. Just want to see what these settings are. Ultra, is that what they're set to? Yep. Make sure that this is back to 3840 by 2160. Yep. All right, let's see what this does. And then Ravi, as far as the battery goes, another test I did was web surfing and in idle mode. So when the computer was just set to a web page, and also the majority of that time the computer was just sitting on one web page, not doing much movement. But I also did some web surfing, going through different tabs and going to different websites. The battery lasted for 10 hours and 50 minutes. So I thought that was pretty impressive when you're not using it for gaming or watching videos. So if you kind of watch games and surf the web, or not watch games, watch videos and surf the web about 50-50 half of the time, then I would probably take that 5.5 hours to almost 11 hours and just average the two of those, and that's probably what you're going to get as far as battery life, if that's the kind of content that you're mixed with. I'm looking at my afterburner frames per second right now, and that's looking pretty good. Looks like it's pushing the GPU to its max, 98% right now. Temperatures aren't that hot. Yeah, so I don't understand why most people are talking a lot of crap about the CPU temperatures being insane. They really haven't been too bad. 111 frames per second at 4K. This thing's just setting record after record as far as all my reviews are going. Oh, wait, you know what? No, it didn't set a record. That's actually one that the X17 beat the GE76 on. In India, it's midnight. Still watching your stream. Thanks, man. Glad to have you on. Glad I'm helping you out a little bit on making this decision better. I'll definitely have all of these benchmarks complete by the end of the day on this spreadsheet, but then I'll also be going over it in my full review that's coming on Friday. So last benchmark for today. It's been a great ride with you guys for about almost 3.5 hours. It's been fun, but we're going to do just one more. We're going to do, oh, you know what? Apex Legends was, okay, I'm sorry guys. Apex Legends was still open when I ran that benchmark. We need to run this again because that was not accurate. We're going to run that one more time. Yeah, that probably makes a difference. I wonder if there's going to be a demo for the newest version of this game, because I think I saw something about Horizon 5 being out or coming out soon. Wicked Droid, same here from India. Good job, keep it up. Thanks, man. Somebody was saying that Iran's government was possibly going to be blocking international use of the internet. I hope that's not the case. I hope everybody else from other countries doesn't run into that issue, because I don't think any government should ever do that to their people. Any advice on how to control the temperature of it? The only thing that I can think of as far as maybe undervolting, I have the cooler boost at maximum right now on the laptop, but you definitely want to not have it on anything cloth, which you probably already know. Having the laptop up high, right now I have it lifted with complete exposure to the back so that there can be a lot of airflow coming out the back to reduce the most amount of heat. But yes, just cooler boost and undervolting are the two main things that I can think of as far as keeping the temps down, and then possibly getting a cooling pad. Any chance of trying Asus Rogue Zephyrus G15 Advanced Edition? I've been thinking about that. I did test out the regular G15, and that one was pretty awesome. Okay, so we got 114, which is a little bit better, not like too much better, but I think that matches the same number that we got with the Alienware X17. Yep, exactly 114 with the same specs on the Alienware X17. So our last test, we're going to open up the Tomb Raider benchmarks at 4K and see what we get for that. Sarinth Reddy, hello Justin. As a mechanical student, could you review and talk about the benchmarks using mechanical softwares like SolidWorks, ANSYS Fluent, and Creo? It would be helpful to choose the right laptop. What are some good tests to run on those softwares? Is there a good benchmark, kind of like the Puget benchmark plugins that you get for the Adobe apps, in order to just benchmark and see what the computer can do with that software? What is going on with Shadow of a Tomb Raider now? It's not wanting to. There we go. No, I don't want to purchase the game. Just want to use it for its cool benchmarks. What just happened here? Where'd this friends chat come from? I don't want a friends chat right now. There we go. When in doubt, hit escape. All right. 3840 by 2160. We're going to have DLSS off first. VSync off. Run benchmark. I believe as this laptop CPU doesn't have enough heat pipes to cool, Intel 11800H version will be better with 3080 165 watt. Yeah, I think a i9 is just too much. But yeah, it is pretty awesome that this laptop is now capable of 165 watts after the VBIOS update. Originally, it was only capable of, well, I mean, it's still a lot. It was capable of 155 watts. Deadpool review Legion 7i. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of requests for that today. I've got the Legion 7 AMD coming next month that I'm going to be reviewing, but I might have to jump on the 7i train as well. I did review the Legion 7i from last year, but I haven't reviewed the latest one yet. Justin, do you have Stronghold Warlords? No, I don't have that one. All right, let's move my face to see the results. 57. 57 seems a little low. What did I get before? Tomb Raider, I got 68 on the X17. Even my Gigabyte Aero 15, or the Razer Blade 14, seemed to have done better than that one. This might have been the only one that had DLSS on, I believe. Let's see how much better that treats us. Lady Fair, do you recommend the Alienware M17 R4 for creative use? I know the R4 is a super fast machine, very comparable to the X17. But from what I've been seeing, I haven't yet reviewed the M17 R4 yet. The M17 R3 is definitely gets pretty hot. So I know that that'll probably affect the overall lifespan of the laptop. And I have been seeing reviews of the newest M17 R4 to be getting pretty hot as well. But I know it's definitely fast. Should I buy a Legion 5 Pro with monitor or just get a high-end laptop like X17 or GE76? Ali, do you typically do a lot of creative work? Because I definitely think an external monitor is really good for creative work. I personally, on my M17 R3, it's a 4K screen, but I tend to actually look at my bigger 1080p screen just because I like bigger screens, my external monitor, more often when I'm in dual screen mode. But yeah, the Legion 5 Pro, I haven't reviewed that yet. It doesn't seem like it's very easy to get one of those. I have one ordered, and it says it's not going to get to my house until December 7th. So you're going to be waiting quite a long time for that one, I think. Do you see any difference between a 500 nit screen and 300 nit screen at FHD? I do see a difference when I'm outdoors or close to a window that has a lot of reflection. I notice a big difference when you're inside and there's not too much light going on around you. There's not that big of a difference, um, or the difference doesn't matter as much. But as far as going with a monitor just to get a high-end laptop like an X17 or a GE76, that all kind of depends on how mobile you like to be. I mean, the X17 is a little heavier. The GE76 is heavy as well. I really love the X17 and GE76 though. Have you seen this GPU using 165 watts? You know, I haven't been able to. There's something that I need to tweak in my HW info settings to connect that better to Afterburner. Because right now it still hasn't given me the option to show the overall wattage usage of the GPU during these games. So I'll be spending more time with that today to try to figure that out. But overall, it's definitely pushing a lot of power because these results are pretty high. Average FPS 74. So yeah, I think I did use DLSS on those other games. Yeah, because that makes more sense. It's more consistent with all my other numbers. All right, guys. So that's all the time I have for today. I'll be updating the rest of this list with the 4K numbers of all these other games. Thank you guys so much for joining and sticking there with me. But yeah, I'll be doing my full review on Friday, so keep an eye out for that. Thanks for watching, guys. I love you guys. God bless.